we have now learned the factual premise that the Lakers can win without LeBron James. So if you're the guy that was staging your own personal holdout, which I believe he was, and it backfires because the Lakers are 7-2, now you've got no choice but to really double down on the sciatica.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
If Jacoby Brissett was playing bad football for the past 3 weeks, Kyler Murray will be fully healthy, ready to go. Can't wait to get him on the field at Seattle and try to resurrect our season. Now you have Jacoby Brissett playing really good football. Putting Kyler Murray back in right now because he wasn't playing good football doesn't make any sense. The perfect storm here for Arizona. Hey, Kyler, going on IR takes the pressure off you. And Jacoby, you deserve the start. Go ahead and start, kid.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Sauce Gardner heading over to the Indianapolis Colts as they go all in on this season and beyond. As I think a lot of people have been noting, that move does not just say, hey, we like what we have this year. It says we like what we have moving forward, and that includes Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback for Dallas. What does that decision to bring in Quinnen Williams say? That means they're poorly ran, but we already knew that.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
And the amazing thing you're going to say about Tom Izzo for the jump is, Tom Izzo don't duck anybody. You want to hear who they have to play preseason? Kentucky, Duke, UNC, and Arkansas. This is not the Jimmy Boeheim Don't Leave New York Carrier Dome Classic. This guy plays people.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome in, folks. It is Game Time Decisions, and we are live on SportsGrid with you for a great Thursday night. Kevin Walsh here, live from the Decisions desk, and we have plenty to get into as we begin Week 11 in the National Football League with the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. You look around right now, 12.5-point number, up to 13 in some spots. As the Jets are catching plenty, that number has been working towards New England throughout the week. The total right now between 43 and 43 and a half, depending on where you look. Do the Jets need this game? No, the Jets don't need any games. You could argue they need to lose, as they are now a red-hot 2-0 over their last two. Does New England need this game? I mean, it's a bad loss if they lose. There's not many teams that have lost this season as a double-digit favorite. Shout out the Green Bay Packers, the first and only that really is coming to me off the top of my head, at least. The Patriots losing here would be a very bad loss. It would impact their chances for a number one seed. It would, they're probably still division favorites. I'm not trying to be crazy. I don't know. Maybe the perception would move too much. But let's not overlook the fact that New England is the division favorite. At minus 260, they have pushed Buffalo to plus 200 to win the AFC East. And the New England Patriots right now sit as favorites to be the number one seed. Something we discussed earlier this week during Kevin 7, the 7 playoff teams in the AFC and the NFC through win totals, as the New England Patriots are standalone style in the AFC. The only team whose win total is booked at 12.5. That is their primary number. It is listed at 12.5. 13 wins for the Patriots would very likely be enough to get them the number one overall seed, much less a win in the AFC East. On the Jets side, though, you could argue they enter tonight's game a little bit more interesting, because we have some near history on our hands. Appropriately, with a smile on my face, I let you know that up next is our guy, Donnie Rightside. But there is no one I have talked to more about Justin Fields props over the last half decade than DRS. And they were stunning in Chicago, and they were stunning in Pittsburgh, and they are stunning once again. 132.5 is the passing prop. I am certain that number suggests he could be benched in this game for Tyrod Taylor. Because that just cannot, you can't be a double-digit dog and have a 132.5 passing number. It just is impossible. If you look at Justin Fields this year, we have seen some atrocious performances. Don't get me wrong. My gosh, man. This guy is under 60 yards passing 4 different times. One of those was injury-induced, but still 3 other times. And last week in a win. In a game, he completed a 42-yard screen pass. 12 yards in his other 10 attempts. Come on, man. How could this be? But it is. But it is. And we're going to keep our eyes on this game tonight and continue to get you ready for Week 11 in the National Football League, which features not 1, but 3 marquee games. It's the best slate of NFL football all year long, in my opinion. And some of the games that don't make that top 3, Minnesota hosting Chicago. You have Buffalo hosting Tampa Bay, right? The intrigue of Jameis Winston trying to upset the Green Bay Packers. Cincinnati trying to keep their season alive as Joe Burrow says, I'll actually be back. Rams, Seahawks, Chiefs, Broncos, Eagles, Lions. 3 incredible games that we will continue to get you set up for here on our show tonight. Now, where else might you be betting? Perhaps the college basketball world. Ranked action already underway. That's Michigan State and San Jose State. Ranked action coming in a good one. A top 10 battle between Alabama and Purdue. The Crimson Tide, a slight home favorite over the preseason number 1 overall, who lost that spot throughout the opening week just because of how they looked, which was pretty remarkable, yet I think pretty deserved. The Crimson Tide will find themselves getting a handful of first-place votes if they can finish this off. They are already receiving 1 due to an upset that they pulled at Madison Square Garden over St. John's, who was preseason ranked 5th in the country. This would be an incredible start for Nate Oates and his group, where many believe this was actually going to be a down season. It is not trending that direction for Alabama. I'm involved in this game best bet style. We promised to put that on the board before anything gets underway. If you're looking to bet the NBA tonight, it's a lighter card. We've seen that on these Thursdays as the slate tomorrow will expand with the NBA Cup. What you have right now is Cleveland laying 7.5 to Toronto. Piping hot Phoenix Suns laying 3.5 to the Indiana Pacers. And then the Jazz, a slight home dog as Atlanta is on the second leg of a back-to-back. We still await the return of Trae Young for the Hawks, who has not played since the end of October, was slated to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, and we are approaching that 2-week window. I think because we've got our guy DRS right around the corner, we should put our best bets on the board. Our guy Chris is going to go into the NFL game tonight with a little 1-2 step here. Breece Hall for 2 grabs. Hunter Henry for 30-plus receiving yards. That is a plus 106. Sam Yarnell, as always, Troy, ODU, over the 53.5. AJ and I think, thinking similarly but attacking differently. He is on Purdue at plus 3.5. I am on their team total at 84.5. I do not want to bet on or against Alabama's offense in this game. Their offense was such a joy to watch against St. John's, and it didn't even necessarily have a great game. 48% from the field, 31% from three, 64% from the line. That's not great shooting splits. Up and down, forcing turnovers, they made it happen. If Alabama gets hot from three, it may not matter what Purdue is able to do. But this is seen by many as the number one offense in college basketball. Playing at this tempo, I don't think there is a first half number that Purdue could put up where I am in panic mode over my team total at 84.5. They're getting to 30. That's like a worst case scenario. And 55 is a lot in the second half. We've seen it. I think they could come out guns a-blazing. I think they're into the 40s in the first half, carries over into the second half. I think they are live in this game here tonight. But sometimes you play Alabama, they're on, and there's nothing you can do. Excited to watch that one. It does begin in under 20 minutes as Alabama hosts number 2 Purdue as a 3.5-point favorite. That number has been working towards Purdue throughout the day. But up next, been waiting for this all day to talk to our guy, Donnie Rightside, about Justin Fields and a passing prop of 132.5. We will be right back live with you on Game Time Decisions.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Now,
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Go of North Carolina,
yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now offensively.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, they would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
Head coach.
Replaced him. They gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Sematary. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We're live on SportsGrid. We're joined by our guy, Donnie Rightside, here on this Thursday. You can catch him Monday through Friday on the early line on SportsGrid. And DRS, you and I used to host that show together, and I feel that there were many, many times we would talk, admittedly laugh, about a Justin Fields prop that just felt fake. Well, he's at it again. 132.5 is the number I am seeing looking on FanDuel. I know you have, an odd screen. Maybe there's a lower number out there somewhere. I mean, It looks like they know he's getting benched, DRS. It's outrageous.
Yeah, no, it is outrageous. I was just trying to see if we can get that dropping number. When you just read lines, your common thoughts are, he has to go over. Like, it can't be possible. Like, you're going to stumble into 100-plus yards passing. Go back and watch his games. He's going to stumble into actually going under 100 yards tonight because he can't pass. Couple this, Kevin. He can't pass, and there are no pass catchers. So where are we finding 150 yards to pass tonight for Justin Fields? He'll make plays with his feet. He'll have a couple completions. The defense, they're hoping, will score just like they did last week against Cleveland. But you look at that number. That is a stone-cold under number that they are begging you, Kevin, to take an over tonight with Justin Fields.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing, though, Donnie, at the risk of sounding like our good friend Lisi, isn't the temptation, though, to, run this up the other direction? Because they're a double-digit dog. Mm-hmm. Last week, I understand 54 yards. They had 2 special team scores. Yes. So that put them, one, in a great position, and time of possession, they're not on the field as much. Like, DRS, the game script for this one tonight is one that forces Fields to be throwing in the second half, no?
But I heard you talking before I got on, Kevin. Built into this line is he will not see the second half tonight.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing.
You have to understand what the Jets, where their point is right now. They're done evaluating at the quarterback position. Justin Fields is not their future quarterback. They are loaded with draft picks looking to get their quarterback in the offseason. So at the point now, it's like, okay, let's just establish us playing competent football the rest of the way out. And if you're looking at the half, Kevin, and 14-3 score. Justin Fields, 6 of 13 for 31 yards. He will not play in the second half tonight. There's no more evaluation. So I think it is built into that number, Kevin. But can I sell you on this? Like, there is a total in the mid-40s tonight. We're expecting the Jets to score. Bet 365 tonight, Kevin. How about the Jets to score 2 touchdowns at a plus 125 price? Can I sell you on that? Because you might score special teams. You might score defense. Now, it's a low percentage, but I'm not expecting Justin Fields' air show tonight. And if Justin Fields doesn't make it to the second half, maybe there's a blowout and you can get a cheapie here. I don't want anything to do with Fields, but understand this too. Over a half touchdown passes is basically minus 110, minus 115. Never saw prices like this in my life because why? It's built in that he probably won't play in the second half.
Yeah, I think that is interesting, though also likely unnecessary if you're the Jets, right? Where what is the benefit, Donnie, if he is playing terrible in the first half? Like, you can give Tyrod a clean week off a, extended week heading into next week. We know Fields isn't the guy, but we've known that for a long time here. If you are the Jets, if you are being realistic and honest about what this situation is. I'll say, though, Donnie, to wrap it all in, I did play the Jets tonight at plus 13. I think this team, despite maybe what is their best interest, would love to win this game. And I think Aaron Glenn had an inspired group on his hands against the Browns. And to some degree in the NFL, if your team's just going to show up and show effort, it'll be hard to beat them by 2 touchdowns, which is what New England will need to do here tonight.
Exactly, and it's all based on what Breece Hall is going to give you in the backfield, and maybe it's not a clean performance. Understand this. Thursday night football games, home or away, they're hard to get up for. You take a look at last week, how important that game was last week for New England on the road at Tampa Bay. Won that in the heat, in humidity, a 4-quarter game, flying back and then saying, oh, man, come on. Jets on Thursday night will win this easily. Like, yes, they'll probably win, but that doesn't mean they're up 21-3 at the break and cruise to an easy victory. Understand this. Crazier things have happened in the NFL, and the Jets have been scoring some points here where they should be able to put up a fight. I'm not saying Justin Fields is going to be horrendous enough where he doesn't make it through 4 quarters, but again, the props there are built in where he might not make it there. I wouldn't be laying this many points on a Thursday night in the division. I do think the Jets hang around in this game. Same thing I thought last week where I was taking the points at home with the Jets. I thought they had a legitimate chance to beat Cleveland, and they did.
Donnie, looking at New England right now, in terms of winning the AFC outright, behind KC, Buffalo, Indianapolis, and Baltimore, despite being not just favorites to win the AFC East, they sit right now as the favorites, DRS, to be the number 1 seed in the conference. Where are you at on New England, big picture, looking at their outright odds?
Love the season. Love the schedule they have. Working in their favor, they're probably going to win the AFC East, which is going to give them a home playoff game. But I'm still not trusting them just yet in the big moment. Well, Donnie, wait, big moment was on Sunday. They played Baker Mayfield. I get it. It was a really good win. We're not taking that away. But understand this. Toe-to-toe in the playoffs, Kevin, fully healthy Buffalo Bills, fully healthy Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if I'm there yet. They're one of those teams where, how many more games they have to win in a row for you to believe? I think they're a really good team. They're a playoff team and might win that division. I'm just not there yet, Kevin, on saying, let me book them to do a lot of damage in the playoffs because it's still a young team. When I say young team, young quarterback in the biggest moments. Can he still be up to it when you're saying you're going toe-to-toe with Lamar Jackson and toe-to-toe with Josh Allen and toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes? I'm just not there yet on the New England Patriots. Like the team, like what they accomplished, but I need to see it at the highest level, and we won't get that to the playoffs.
Yeah, the interesting thing, though, Donnie, is they did play Buffalo in Buffalo and beat them. Yeah. Going to Tampa Bay on the road and beating them, I mean, they are checking boxes. And I think what's interesting is, depending on how, the rest of the regular season goes for KC, Buffalo, and Baltimore, I mean, Donnie, they may max out at only playing one of those teams during a playoff run, right? If they secure that number 1 overall seed. There's a lot to talk about heading into this weekend of NFL action, including, as always, A.J. Brown and the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll get Donnie's insight after the break on SportsGrid.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Go off North Carolina,
yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be lifeless.
Yes, they would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
Head coach.
Replaced him. They gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Sematary. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on Game Time Decisions. We're about 5 minutes out from a big game starting between Alabama and Purdue. That is a best bet tonight for a couple of us here on the team. AJ's on Purdue plus 3.5. I like the Purdue team total over at 84.5. We are still months away, though, from getting a team total in the college basketball world from our guy Donnie Rightside. Again, catch Donnie Monday through Friday mornings here on SportsGrid with the early line. You could also catch DRS on college football today with Joe Lisi on Saturdays. But I do want to talk a little pro DRS while we have you. because A.J. Brown, I saw a headline today, made me chuckle. It said, A.J. Brown responds to his own comments, because that's how much A.J. Brown is talking. And I just want to give it to you open-ended. Where are you at on this never-ending situation?
It'll end fine because he gets paid a lot of money. But the obstacle here that we were hearing is A.J. Brown has eyes on the Hall of Fame as a wide receiver. Super Bowl champion, dominant player, got to continue for a couple more years, and you might be able to slip on that jacket. But you're not going to slip on that jacket putting up 500 yards a season while you're winning games. Wide receivers want to get paid, but they also want the statistics. But let's understand the point path how we got here, Kevin. In a football game that you had to win on the road, you had to throw a deep shot to A.J. Brown to keep him happy, even if you might have costed a massive game on the road, and it didn't work out in the Eagles' favor, but yet they still won the game. A.J. Brown is upset, and he has a right to be. The offense doesn't look great, and he's going, I'm one of the best players in this league, and I'm not getting force-fed the football, because what he sees around the league is this guy's getting 13 targets a game. He's catching 7 of them for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, they're getting blown out, but he's getting used out here. I want to get used, which, you know, we talk about the squeaky wheel, gets the oil and all that good stuff, and that might happen. But my read on A.J., they're just wide receivers are crazy until they get the football. Wins and losses don't matter unless they get the football. Lose a game this weekend. Let's just say Detroit comes into town, Kevin. Philadelphia Eagles lose 35-33. AJ goes off. Big smile, steak dinner at night. Happy online. Guys, we're going to pull the season together. Don't you worry about it. Eagles win a close when he's not getting used. He's going to go to Twitch and Twitter and yell about it once again. Why? Because wideouts are crazy.
So, I'm going to be honest with you, DRS. They could beat the Lions 45-42. A.J. Brown could have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he will go on Instagram and be like, see, I've been right the whole time. And that's why we have a real problem here in Philadelphia. Because, Donnie, that's what he did after they beat Minnesota. That was the most recent game he played in before Green Bay. They scored 28. He had 120 and 2. The quarterback had a perfect passer rating. Only guy all season. And A.J. Brown's like, it's every game with this offense. No, it's not. You missed a week. They scored 38. Donnie, he's just unhappy. That's what it is. And he's not going to be happy. Maybe the talent wins out and Philly wins a Super Bowl this year. Who knows? But here's what I know, Donnie. He won't be an Eagle next season. Do you disagree?
Like, I will have to see how the contract will be structured after this. Because the funniest part about this was they're going to trade AJ at the deadline. Yeah, and plummet $40 million into the cap next year and no longer become a Super Bowl team. That's never going to happen. What will be interesting is that they restructure him early in the offseason, which might set up a move. And you have a lot of takers for AJ Brown that you can recoup a lot of draft capital, or maybe trade him for an angry wide receiver that's in Minnesota named Justin Jefferson, because he goes, I ain't playing with this bum over here. Maybe.
Incredible zag. I mean, listen, that's why we always get DRS in here. Bring Justin Jefferson home, realistically.
Exactly.
I think everybody knows that's where he was supposed to be. It's like the only time Howie's ever done anything wrong. Yeah. That's what a lot of people say. I don't disagree. I'm not mad at it. A.J. Brown's definitely gone, though. How do you feel, Donnie, confidence level heading into a game against Detroit on Sunday Night Football?
I'll tell you right now, the Eagles are as healthy as they've been all season long. You're going to have Lane Johnson, who looked like his season was over. Now he's a full practice participant coming back. Cam Jurgens will come back. But understand this, Kevin. You imported 3 talented all-pro level players. Jalen Phillips, Nolan Smith, and Brandon Graham last week alone, and you saw the difference in that defense. If you watch Minnesota, how did they beat Detroit? Relentless pressure. Eagles can do that. Just saying, Sunday night. Just saying.
Jalen Phillips, Defensive Player of the Year tickets, Donnie, I think they may be swirling around.
Get in now. Yeah,
DRS, always good to check in.
Get in.
What's it trending at, Donnie? What's it trending at? Mr. Calcium
36 cents. 36 cents, baby. Get in now.
Yeah, you put 36 cents on Jalen Phillips to be a millionaire to win Defensive Player of the Year. We got Mike Blewett up next. Game Time Decisions.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from my, and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Go off North Carolina,
Yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now offensively.
They'd be
yes,
lifeless.
They would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
head coach.
3 plays in, they gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Sematary. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We're excited to have you with us here on a Thursday night. We're about to get underway with Alabama and Purdue. We're about to get underway with our guy, Mike Blewett. You can catch Mike leading SportsGrid Sunday coverage of the NFL slate each and every Sunday at 1 o'clock. Mike does an excellent job. And, Mike, I want to start with this because some people may be tuning in. They're like, man, a lot of Eagles. Got to be careful. It's Kevin, it's Donnie, right? Mike, and now listen, I'm the most unbiased man in the history of sports media. Mike's an impartial mind, though, on all of this stuff. And so, which is why, Mike, I don't think you would mind me saying the level of credit we've seen Mike Tomlin get for some knuckleheads he's dealt with in the past. Jalen Hurts got to be barking right up that same tree to deal with this week in and week out. No matter the result, no matter the stats, always a problem in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I would say, though, that when it really ramped up for Tomlin in Pittsburgh, they were never able to get over the hump and win a championship. So kudos to the version of this Eagles team. And granted, you could say that this year's version is different from last year's version, but they were dealing with some of the same strife they're dealing with now. But once things really ramped up between Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and everything else, they never really did get to the point where they won a championship. They got to AFC championship games, they made playoff runs, but they never really got it home. I will say, though, that there was criticism of Tomlin of the Steelers when Antonio Brown was dealt to the Raiders, but I think history has shown that Antonio Brown kind of made it easy on the Steelers when they ran him out of the building.
Yeah, the decisions were made for him, and we learned a lot. And we'll talk a little bit more maybe about Eagles-Lions. There's some other great games this Sunday that I want Mike's thoughts on. But I do want to start with Thursday Night Football here, Mike, between the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. Pats are a big favorite in this game. I know sometimes when you see a big favorite, there are creative ways for you to back them, but maybe you're interested in the dog. What are you thinking with this NFC East matchup?
I hate a division game that we're laying 12.5 points. I also hate the Jets going on the road, short week, coming off a couple of victories. People will probably think the Jets are a trap game here for the Pats. I don't really see it that way. In fact, when you break down the point totals listed, just taking FanDuel for now, you list the team point totals, they don't even get to 43.5. So the math really doesn't add up for me. I'm taking it under. I think the Jets will not contribute much at all. Even if the Pats have a good offensive night, I could see it being a 28-10 game and us being under. So the under is my first play. I do love a live betting situation here, though. If we don't get a lot of scores in the first quarter, or the Jets score first, it's my opportunity to bet back on the Pats. I do think it's a relatively comfortable win, but 13 points is a lot, Kev, in any game.
Yeah, it is, and that's why I took them. Divisional game Thursday night. I hope I'm not making a mistake as someone who passed on playing the Raiders this past Thursday. Now I'm sitting here with a Jets ticket in my pocket, but each game's different. You got to be able to separate them. What I think's so interesting, though, Mike, is for New England, just the spot we find them in. You know, you got to be a pretty good team to lay this many points in a divisional game in a short week. And that's what the Pats are proving to be right now. They're not just favorites to win the AFC East. This team is a favorite to be the number one seed in the conference. Now, that part of it certainly comes through the soft schedule, but their two hardest games of the year, I think you could argue, at Buffalo, at Tampa Bay, they won both of those games. I think New England, because they are priced as the team to be the number one seed, Mike, at plus 750, there's a pretty easy case to make. There's some value on them in the conference outright market.
I think it's fair. They've earned everything that they've gotten to this point. It's okay that it's an easy schedule. You know, they started off with a really bad game against the Raiders, and I think people were like, oh, geez, how's this season going to go? It was a turnover fest against the Steelers, and they've won every other game and scoring plenty of points, by the way, doing that. They're not grinding out 16, 13 wins. They went on the road in Tampa, scored 28. Had a really rough second half against the Falcons, but held them off. They scored 24 points. They put up 32 on a Browns defense that has respect from a lot of people. So these next three games for them, Jets at Cincinnati, Giants, and then a bye week. I think that bye week is really well placed when they get to host the Bills after it and then have to go to the Ravens. So there's not a lot of losses on that schedule, in my opinion. I don't think there's one tonight. And I think they've earned it. I don't know that they're the best team. That's not always the case when you rack up wins on a soft schedule. But the Commanders were this kind of team last year, and they were able to win a playoff game and get to the championship game. So maybe the Pats find themselves in the same boat, but they're going to have to prove it. Even if they have a home game, they're going to have to prove it against Kansas City or Buffalo and Baltimore. And you made the point in the previous segment about them maybe only having to face one of them, and that would be a huge victory. But again, those teams are going to be really tough in January.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing, if you told me the New England Patriots are hosting the Baltimore Ravens or the Kansas City Chiefs, tough game, I expect them to be booked as a dog. I don't think they would be booked as an underdog, Mike, if they were hosting the Buffalo Bills in a playoff game. Now, maybe that's a misguided thought because people would just be far too excited to bet Josh Allen at a plus price, but man, I feel like the Buffalo Bills, like this. That's how quickly, but I mean, they lost to the Dolphins. They beat Kansas City, top of the world, conference favorites. That defense is a problem, and Josh's margin for error is non-existent right now. Do I sound a little too doom and gloom on Buffalo to you?
I don't think so. There's a big spotlight on that defense. I will say against Miami, they were missing 3 defensive backs. That's not the only excuse that they would probably put out there. Their offense wasn't good enough either. So you're right to focus on that. But the Ravens are on a little bit of a winning streak now. They were 2 weeks ago, they were minus 110 to win the AFC North. Now they're minus 230. The reason I bring that up, Kev, is because I think we are often, this can be a week-to-week league. Mm-hmm. And because they're on a little bit of a win streak here and Lamar is back, we are forgetting how bad the Ravens defense was. Have they fixed all of it? Probably not. But are they making the same strides? Can they make similar strides than they made 1 year ago when they ripped off a whole bunch of wins onto winning the North and unfortunately losing a road playoff game for them? But Have they made all those same changes where the defense can improve again? Can Buffalo see similar improvement down the stretch as they get a little bit healthier?
Yeah, it's a good point. We've seen Baltimore turn the defense around. That would be, the task that Sean McDermott would be, is given. And I think, Mike, look, I can have a quick trigger finger with coaches, but Sean McDermott has to do what, in your opinion, right now, to keep his job in Buffalo?
That's tough, if only because Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott have been joined at the hip. From Carolina to Buffalo, they've been in lockstep on making these decisions. Now, they won the Josh Allen lottery. Would a lot of people say they've been horribly disappointing in the playoffs? They've lost tight games to the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season. They keep losing tight games, in a few instances, to the Chiefs. Is that a fireable offense? I think it's going to be really interesting if they are disappointing in the postseason again, and you have to determine what that is too, right? If they lose to the Chiefs in the playoffs again, people will be frustrated. But is that enough for him to get fired? I think he's got to at least win a playoff game, though. If they go empty in the playoffs, I think it's going to be really tough for them to keep both guys around.
A lot of great games this Sunday. Mike will be covering them. We're going to talk about them after the break. It is Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Now,
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Oh, of North Carolina?
Yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be lifeless.
Yes, they would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
head coach.
3 plays in, they gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Sematary. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions here on a Thursday night. Kevin Walsh with you live right now. Alabama and Purdue, a big-time game in the college basketball world. We're joined, though, by Mike Blewett talking a little bit about everything surrounding the National Football League. There are some key games I want to get to on Sunday. We'll get there. But Mike and I always try and go through some of the offseason stuff, what it could mean, even while we're still here in season. Mike, the Giants firing Brian Dable. We're far enough removed to where I want to actually focus a little bit more on what's next instead of what they did. And as far as what's next, right? The predictive markets, they're always posting these odds or these markets for where this could go. And Mike McCarthy, Clint Kubiak are, seemingly guys gaining steam. You will often get the nonsensical, with respect to Gruden, there's no way he's getting that job. I don't think that's on the board.
Okay.
But what feels on the board to me right now is something that should not, is insane, but it is Mike Kafka coaching himself into this job, or even more improbable, Mike Kafka coaching himself into the OC job, which he already has or had, and someone getting hired over the top of him. This Giants process has barely started and already feels nightmarish for fans.
That would be really strange if he was retained. It would be unusual if he were retained as the OC, but they hire somebody over him. I don't mind Kafka getting this tryout of sorts to see how he can work with Dart. Maybe there's a special relationship that people appreciate, and he's one of the main reasons that Dart has shown some promise early in his career here. But now Dart's out. Kafka was also there when they're calling plays for Dart to keep it constantly, and Dart was running over people constantly and found himself in the medical tent. So Kafka's part of that as well. I think the reality is he's well thought of. He's getting head coach interviews. We have to give him a shot before he goes out the door and goes somewhere else. But that shouldn't be a determining factor as to whether or not he retains the job as head coach here. Well, other people like him. Maybe we should like him as well. It's frankly just typical for the Giants, Kev. Fourth coach in 8 years. They are all different levels of confusing hires.
Yeah.
Gable was probably the one with the resume that made the most sense for him to get elevated to this job. Joe Judge came out of nowhere. Pat Shurmur was a longtime coordinator, didn't work out at all. And Ben McAdoo actually had one good season before the wheels came off and couldn't find a suit that fit for his opening press conference. So it was all odd stuff for the Giants head coaching hires here for the last 8 years. And I'd expect it to be pretty weird again. Jeff Hafley's name has been thrown out. There's obviously a Boston College connection between the Maras and Hafley having coached there. Again, not something that should be a determining factor. Do I think the Giants will nail this next hire? Absolutely not. I do not. I think it comes from the top down. There's a reason the Jets and the Giants have been a mess. And I think the ownership has found their way into screwing this up royally, even though the Giants have a bunch of good players on defense.
Mike, 3 monster games this weekend. Rams, Seahawks, Chiefs, Broncos, Eagles, Lions. Dealer's choice, the game you find yourself right now most excited for.
Rams Seahawks for sure. I really love, obviously, the Philly-Detroit game. I'm curious to see how Philly plays offensively and how they can contain the Lions. But you and I talked about it a lot. I said for months that the NFC West was the most compelling division in the league for me. That has proven to be the case, and I really do think that I'm excited to watch both of these teams face off against one another. It's not our Darnold inside joke here either. I really do think it'll be interesting to watch the chess match between McDonald and Kubiak and McVay. How can they contain the Seahawks' explosive passing offense? And on the flip side, how can the Seahawks defend what the Rams are doing with all these 3 tight end looks and gashing teams? 2 of the MVP candidates in the mix here in Darnold and Stafford. I'm really excited to watch that one at 4:00 on. I won't get a chance to cover it on In-Game Live for very long, but I'm excited about it.
Do you think, Mike, it would be, if I tell you the loser is eliminated from the MVP race, overreaction or spot on?
Overreaction, just because there's still too many more games to go, but you could have your MVP moment in this game, as it were, right? You're starting to get to the point where these types of games can leave an imprint on voters' minds. We talked about it at the end of last year. Lamar might have passed Josh Allen statistically by the end of the year, but the hay was in the barn for a lot of voters. They didn't pay attention to it in weeks 16, 17, 18 as much. So can one of them leave an imprint here? A come from behind, a huge last-minute pass? That could be a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting where if someone plays bad, I think they're going to be eliminated. Like, that's – I understand. It's like Stafford has 25 units. I think it's like 25-2, right? So it's like, oh, if Stafford goes out there and goes 2-2, is that really going to eliminate him? I kind of think so. Now, I don't know. 2-2 with like 280 passing yards isn't a bad game. But if somebody plays really poorly, I think it would eliminate them. If we see just a back and forth, shootout style type of game, it'll almost feel like they'll eliminate the field, and then we'll just crown it December 18th when they play on a Thursday night again in Seattle. It almost would get that vibe. This is going to be a really, really fun NFL Sunday. Mike's got some great games on his hands, a lot of interesting ones too. Like, there's huge games as the day goes on, but Jameis Winston's playing during a Mike Blewett in-game live. I mean, hello. That's can't miss. That's can't miss.
Minus 215 interception, yes.
We'll be right back. Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Oh, of North Carolina?
Yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have that.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now offensively.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, they would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
head coach.
Replaced him. They gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Cemetery. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It is Game Time Decisions. We are live on SportsGrid on a Thursday night. You know what that means? We've got Marcelino Ortiz with us. Marcelino, we're going to cover the world of soccer. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well, my friends. Happy to be here straight from the Latin Nation studios in Los Angeles, California. And we are excited because ahead of us, we have this international break and a lot of national teams playing. But finishing this weekend, it's all about the MLS playoffs. And I want you guys to be prime and ready because there's a lot of value out there. So let's get started.
Yeah, let's take a look just overall, Marcelino, with Philadelphia actually situated as the favorite and not Inter Miami. Is that something that you were a little caught by surprise by, or you agree with?
I actually agree with. The thing is, Miami, for as much as they have Messi, they do struggle because they are not consistent out the back. And Philadelphia, they increasingly become the most consistent team in MLS. They have great players all across the lines, and they play as a team. The strength is in the numbers and not in the stars. So that's why I believe that the odd makers believe that Philadelphia is a sure bet for them to make it all the way to the end. For me, the value right now is clearly with LAFC. If you see at them, they're at plus 650. Some other houses have it even higher. And I believe that the power that you have with Buanga, that has just right now, Gabon was not qualified to the Olympics. They lost to Nigeria today. So now Buanga is fully focused on winning the MLS Cup, and that means that he's going to come hungry for success. So I believe that has LAFC with a big edge for you to make some money right there.
I want to just go a little bit further down the board, Marcelino, for maybe people who loosely follow MLS. NYCFC is a club that, we've seen have, some really, really great seasons. It's a pretty tight market, which I think makes the 10-1 price on NYCFC a little surprising. What do you make of it?
That, my friend, is great, great value. I am an LAFC fan, so that's why I'm always with them, and I know them very well. But NYCFC at this price is incredible. They are heating up, my friend. We saw it in the playing game. They did everything they needed to do, and that's why I believe that if you don't have any T-shirt in the game, NYC, it is the team that you want to support, because at that price, like you said, the possibilities of you winning, they're pretty high.
Marcelino, with the way that this kind of format is structured here, right? You get a lot of soccer, really, right, to be played each and every round. Was there something that really stood out to you from the opening round of the MLS playoffs?
Yeah, Vancouver. Vancouver, it is going to be very difficult to defeat. They have proven to be probably the most powerful team on the West in every line. But also, one of the things I really like, San Diego. San Diego was coming from the beginning of the playoffs with a lot of trouble because Chucky Lozano was separated from the team. There was a lot of problems within, but like we saw in the last game, everything is behind them. They're playing at a really, really high level, and they have the motivation to be just the second club to win MLS Cup on their opening season. They already did everything that they needed and more. They broke records. So I feel what San Diego has proven is that they are probably the most surprising team in the competition. And as such, everybody that plays against them, meaning Minnesota, meaning Philadelphia, they really need to be ready for that.
Marcelino, can I just ask you this with only about probably a minute or so left here?
Yeah.
We're approaching the January transfer window for the MLS. Are there some big names that we think could now start to come over? We know Messi's brought a lot of publicity. There was some news recently about the changing Apple TV deal, which could put even a little bit more eyes on the product there. Are there some names to watch that we could see come into the MLS?
In my radar right now, I have James Rodriguez, this player that has been, an star at Real Madrid. He has been the reference for Colombia in the national team for a long, long time. And he just had a so-so season with León in Mexico. He's looking for a place to train and be at the highest level for the World Cup. And I think that Orlando Pride, it is the team that might be the one that is in the running for him. Now, the rumblings of Neymar coming to the MLS to play with Messi will continue to grow throughout the rest of the year. I'm very curious to see. Now, another important news today was agreed by the owners that we will be changing the calendar in MLS in 2027, aligning to the global game. So I think a lot of interesting things coming up for MLS in this offseason.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to follow. And if you do not somehow know who James Rodriguez is, look up the World Cup goal while they were in Brazil. It was a worldie, as they say. Marcelino, we appreciate it as always. We'll be right back here on Sports Grid.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Now,
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Go of North Carolina?
Yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be lifeless.
Yes, they would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
head coach.
Replaced him. They gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Sematary. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
GameTime Decisions live with you here on a Thursday night, getting ready for a big weekend still to come. College basketball, college football. Of course, tonight we've got some good NFL. Well, maybe not good, but we've got some NFL to come with the Jets and the Pats. But this past weekend, we had ourselves a huge Big 12 game. Earlier this week, we had a pretty big matchup with Texas Tech and Illinois in the college basketball world. So we figured let's shine a little bit of light on Texas Tech with the help of RC Maxfield. You can find him over on Twitter at RCMB323. Does a great job covering really the entire athletic program. And RC, I want to actually start on the basketball side of it just quickly. I'm sure they would have loved to pull off that upset in Illinois, but nobody's going to be too disappointed when you play another top 15 team and it's close like that. And in fact, in just 2 games, JT Toppin, despite all of the hype around this freshman class, has found himself in some spots as the new favorite to win the Wooden Award.
Yeah, he's pretty good, right? It's crazy what happens when you bring back the reigning Big 12 Player of the Year. He obviously won the preseason award as well. And it's crazy to think, obviously Illinois wasn't at full strength, neither were the Red Raiders. But if you were to tell me, hey, you didn't have one of the best defensive centers in Luke Bamboye, who's supposed to be the starting 5 for Texas Tech alongside JT Toppin, and JT was out there, I think he was 9 for 9 at one point. I know he was 6 for 6 in the second half against Illinois, but he's unreal, man. I mean, he's the best college basketball player we got going right now. No disrespect to Braden Smith, who is playing right now as we speak down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, against the Crimson Tide for Purdue. But JT Toppin, when he gets to his left, man, I don't know who's stopping him in college basketball. And every night he's on the floor. He's the best player. And if you can stop him, I think the only way you can is if you get him in foul trouble early at this point.
The 1-2 punch right now, I guess, at Texas Tech would then be JT Toppin and J-Rod, Jacob Rodriguez, who, I mean, we got a linebacker making a Heisman case. I appreciate it. It's not likely. I think we can all agree, but it shows the caliber of season that he's having, and he is leading a defense that does feel national championship caliber. Take me through what you feel you learned about this team in that top 10 matchup against BYU.
All kinds of legit, man. I mean, you have the best, maybe defensive combo in college football. You got Jacob Rodriguez, as you mentioned, but you also have the nation's leading sack artist and David Bailey as well. So we're talking about a duo that, Jacob Rodriguez can do it all. He can get his nose dirty in the run game, can drop back in coverage and make a spectacular pick or two as he did against Houston. Then you saw what he did against BYU as well in that top 10 matchup. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with you that he probably shouldn't be the favorite to win the Heisman, but he should 1000% be in the conversation. And that's saying something considering, this is an offensive award. You're giving it to the quarterback 9 times out of 10. But if you look at the last time a true linebacker was in the Heisman candidacy, it was Manti Te'o. And look at Jacob Rodriguez. He's blowing every statistic out of the water compared to Manti Te'o. So it's one of those deals where this is a top 2 defense in all of college football. Want to give plenty of respect to Ohio State. You have the best run defense in college football, and it's all led by J-Rod, number 10 for the Red Raiders.
You mentioned Manti Te'o, and you're right. That's the last time we saw a linebacker do this. I wonder if Joey McGuire, though, would hate to bring up anyone from Notre Dame since they don't play in a conference. I got to be honest with you, RC. Maybe I'm not familiar with McGuire's game. That surprised me a little bit. I didn't understand the shot. Like Notre Dame clearly looks like one of the 10 best teams in college football to me. Like McGuire and Texas Tech control their own destiny. I don't know if he's looking to stick up for the Big 12. What did you make of his comments, which were obviously, and he was clear, directed at Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think it goes back to really at least this last offseason, if not the offseason before. The first hire Joey McGuire had at Texas Tech was James Blanchard. He came with him from Baylor. He's the GM for Texas Tech. And the past 2 off seasons, a certain school up north in South Bend, Indiana, has tried to take James Blanchard from Texas Tech. So I think that there's some, I don't want to say animosity, but there's obviously some history there with a key cog in this Texas Tech football program right now. And he also has the same agent as the BYU head coach. So I think he was trying to give some respect there for BYU to join the Big 12 at a time where we really didn't know what the Big 12 was going to look like just because of all the conference realignment. So trying to give BYU some credit there for almost bucking up in a way and joining a conference that was kind of in limbo. And they've done a phenomenal job out in Provo. But I think it more stems from the fact that, hey, stay away from our GM. We're doing a heck of a job down here in Lubbock, Texas. Keep your hands off and let's keep this train moving.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I imagine with the way that roster came together, anyone, trying to make any inroads on the GM, that makes sense. Yeah. Let me ask you on the BYU piece of it, RC, because sometimes I think the proof is in the number. And Texas Tech laying 10.5, as much as it's about the caliber season they've had, it gives you an idea that, odds makers aren't a big believer in this BYU team. And BYU is not a favorite to even really make the Big 12 championship game. I mean, they're barely favored over TCU this coming weekend. They, I think, project as a dog in the game against Cincinnati. Do you think it would be unfair to say BYU doesn't project as a college football playoff level team?
Yeah, I think right now they're probably the 3rd best team in the Big 12. I think it is clear as day. Texas Tech is the class of the conference.
No doubt.
And it's not a debate. I think Utah's probably 2nd. But I think you got to give some love to Cincinnati too. And I think you're going to really learn a lot about this BYU program when they play Cincinnati here in a couple of weeks. I mean, that legitimately could be for a spot in the Big 12 title. So we'll see exactly how they, operate in that respect. But I want to give a little bit of credit to BYU. LJ Martin, he was hurt. They are a run-first team. Doesn't mean it was going to work against the best rush defense in America in the Texas Tech Red Raiders, but they had one explosive play. It was literally the 2nd play from scrimmage where they had 12 yards on that carry. And then after that, they had less than 50 the entire game. So Texas Tech had something to do with that. I just think it's one of those deals where if you tier the Big 12, just from a team perspective, the Red Raiders are just class of the Big 12, and it's because of that defense. If we're being honest about it, the Texas Tech defense for Red Raider standards anyway is pretty average in the grand scheme of things, but this defense is elite, and it's really hard to judge a team in BYU when they're facing guys that, David Bailey's going to be a 1st-round pick. You already mentioned Jacob Rodriguez, maybe the best linebacker in college football, not on Ohio State right now. There's just so many guys that are dudes on this defense. So it's really hard to judge. And not to mention they had a freshman quarterback in a pretty ruckus environment out in the 806.
Yeah, they did. And I think, within watching that game, because for Texas Tech, you're trying to evaluate how far can this go. A conference like the Big 12, you're not – it's like, oh, okay. Texas Tech isn't a cute little thing, right? That defense is – you said it. I was underwhelmed by Morton in that game, and I feel he's better than that. Do you agree?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, he played C-, D+ football. That being said, I do want to say this. He has a hairline fracture in his leg. He's gutting it through right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pain tolerance thing. It's not going to be able to get healed anytime this season. They're managing his reps during the week of practice, but he's a baller, man. And you can tell that it's impacting him a little bit, especially on those patented Baron Morton deep throws outside where I thought he missed, 3 or 4 throws in that BYU game. But yeah, this offense is, average, maybe slightly below it, but that's going to keep you in the hunt to, make some noise in the college football playoff when you have arguably the best defense in college football.
They're 2 away, as far as I see it. They beat UCF. They beat West Virginia. You'd love to win the Big 12 title. They're in. It doesn't matter. That's how I see it. That's what they've gotten themselves up to. Committee has them up at 6, right? Like they've been given that love. RC, really, really appreciate it. Really fun conversation. Best of luck throughout the rest of the season, man.
Appreciate you having me on, Kevin.
Great stuff there, man. RC Maxfield, check out everything he does. Following this Texas Tech team is going to go right from a great college football season to a great college basketball season. We're going to talk some Thursday Night Football after the break.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah. SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Oh, of North Carolina?
Yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now offensively.
They'd be
yes,
lifeless.
They would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
Head coach.
3 plays in, they gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Sematary. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions with you right here on SportsGrid. Let's update your live board. We actually have a lot of ice going on right now. Edmonton going on what I believe is a back-to-back. They did beat the Flyers in overtime yesterday. Connor McDavid did notch an assist in that game. We're scoreless early as they play the Blue Jackets. We're tied at 1 apiece in Florida and Washington. Scoreless right now between Detroit and Anaheim. That one's in Detroit. 2-0 leads for both Ottawa and Toronto. And then Dallas on the road up in Montreal. They right now are up 1-0 in that game. We did have a college football best bet today. That came from our guy, Sam Yarnell. He took an over in ODU Troy. It's early. It's scoreless. It's early. It's scoreless. First possession, turnover on downs. That doesn't excite the people. It does show the ball is being moved. NBA right now, we played an opening quarter of Cavs Raptors. It was a 1-point Cleveland lead at the end of that first quarter. Donovan Mitchell and Scotty Barnes each leading their teams with 9 points. We are approaching the end of the opening half between Alabama and Purdue. We're sitting at 41 apiece with under a minute to go. Let's get your live total here right now. I'm seeing 174.5 game pick. I believe the book's a little bit ahead of where I actually have my eyes. So I think we're at half. Purdue up 43-41. Game is pick. 174.5 total. You've got 84 on the board. So you're going to need 91 in half number 2 to get there. Aiden Holloway's got 14 to lead the Crimson Tide. You're getting Trey Kaufman-Wren at 17 right now, which is pretty impressive. He's 8 of 10 from the floor. Shooting-wise, I mean, goodness me. Bama has already gotten 21 threes up in this game. They've only taken 9 two-point shots in this one, Alabama. Purdue hasn't made a free throw. They were only there for 2. Both missed. Pretty clean game turnovers-wise. Only 5 total free throws attempted. What that usually leads to, it's just the nature of a college basketball game, a foul-heavy second half, which would help the total. I would lean over on the live total, not running to it right now. Feel good about my position. We're going to need 42 out of Purdue in half number 2. Sparty up on San Jose State right now, 48-31. That is a trimmed down lead from the 23-point double up that Michigan State had on their hands at the end of that first period. So tonight, with the game between the Pats and the Jets, we talk a lot about what is on the line for New England, and rightfully so. But what is on the line here for the New York Jets in this game? Well, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? I think if you are the Jets, a perfect result is a competitive loss. A win for the Jets will send the wrong message. It might be very Jets, but now I don't know. Maybe the message it would just send is Aaron Glenn, like, let's start to feel good about it. And it would send that message. But what you don't want is it is going to immediately take the tanking Jets, the bottom-out Jets, to they better win 10 games next season. You might think that sounds ridiculous. I promise you there are enough Jets fans here in this office. That is exactly how it will sound. If the Jets beat the Pats, there will be like a little about this year. There will be. That's just how crazy they are. But there will be a lot of talk about next year, go out and get on a run. What I am fascinated by with the Jets is what their offseason approach at quarterback will be. Simply put, Justin Fields enters tonight's game with a 130.5 passing yards prop. And it is not because we know he is getting benched. It feels like that's why it's the number. I'm tempted at playing alt overs, passing plus rushing. But truly for Justin Fields, those numbers exist because of his play. He's not going to be the starting quarterback for the team next year. He's just not. Is it going to be a round 1 pick? Is it going to be Kyler Murray? Mac Jones? Geno Smith? I don't know. You want to get crazy? Like here's the insane thing. In my perfect world, if I had influence with the Jets, which I do not, sadly, for Jets fans, Justin Fields, brother, get comfy. Let's buy a second home. We're going to snuggle in nice here in New Jersey. It's beautiful. Because you're going to start this and next year. We're going to take our time, whether that's drafting a guy or not. I think that is one of the most interesting elements right now about some of these bad teams is the uncertainty at quarterback. With respect to Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza, neither were supposed to be top 5 quarterbacks in this draft. Sellers, Nussmeier, Manning, Aller. Who was the 5th? Those were the first 4. Beck, maybe. Again, it wasn't Simpson or Mendoza. Doesn't mean they can't be good. It doesn't, though, the tank for Burrow, tank for Trevor. Like, it doesn't lead to that stuff. So how are some of these bad teams going to react with these quarterbacks? Hey, we just saw Klubnik's the other one. We just saw Gary Nussmeier get benched. Let's put picks on the board for this one, man. We've got Jets, Patriots, game time decisions.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Oh, of North Carolina?
Yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now offensively.
They'd be
lifeless.
Yes, they would. They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
Head coach.
3 plays in, they gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Cemetery. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
With you right here on SportsGrid. And Shohei Ohtani won MVP during this show. Unanimously, unexcited. I'm not trying to belittle Ohtani like he was the MVP. The NL races have been boring, in part because of his greatness, but also in part because of the just lack of a race. AL was a different story. It goes to Aaron Judge as he does close as the favorite and win league MVP. Flatly, Aaron Judge was better this season. Tough break for Cal Raleigh, though, who was close in this race. They finished first and second on each and every ballot. Judge received 4 more first-place votes. J-Ram with a comfy third-place finish. Bobby Witt receiving a few votes. Tariq Skubal finishing with 1 vote for American League MVP. And I know a lot of people will want the Aaron Judge conversation to be a him versus Cal thing. You can do that, and you can do that, and you can do that. There is something to be said for the current dominance of Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani as it pertains to the MVP award. I just want to take people through. Since 2021, there have been 10 available MVPs, in which a portion of those years, Judge and Ohtani were in the same league. Only one of them could win it. We have now seen these guys rip off 7 of 10 available MVPs. 5 straight American League MVPs have gone to Ohtani or Judge. They are, like, yeah, they have not, no one has beaten them for an MVP, is a way to look at it, right? Ohtani has been able to beat Judge once. Judge was able to beat Ohtani once. Or Ohtani actually beat Judge twice. I said this in real time, by the way. When Ohtani went to the Dodgers, like winners and losers, I said was Judge and Soto, because they were just going to rip off MVPs. Now Soto went over to the NL, and you see the benefits there for Judge. That is just a dominant run from 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers. Very, very impressive stuff. Put some picks on the board. Of the team's best bets, only one has yet to begin. That is Chris's. Brees Hall, 2 grabs. Hunter Henry, 30 receiving yards. Combination. Not mad at it. We do have your Thursday night touchdown scores. As, of course, jackpot style, I am sure many of you will be getting involved with the touchdown market. Shout out Chris, diehard Jet fan, with a Pats zag, plus 420, Pop Douglas. Mason Taylor for Sam, 80 Mitchell for AJ. I took Justin Fields at plus 370. Shout out to Trevion Henderson, speaking to no one. Shout out to Brees Hall, speaking to no one. Shout out Stephon Diggs, speaking to no one. If you played Hunter Henry, I'm sorry, respectfully, wheel. Not yards, Chris, if you're watching. If you played Hunter Henry for any time, wheel. I'm just saying. Speaking of wheel, as somebody who is on the Jets, catching 13. Am I the only one looking at the Jets? Justin Fields, passing plus rushing ladder? I can't be the only one. We're getting 16-1 on him to have 300 passing plus rushing. And if you were to speak to some ill-informed people, they would tell you he'd never do that. He did do that twice already this season. He has had 275 3 times this year. Justin Fields has only finished 7 games. Basically, what that means, hold on a minute. Math grid. Boom, I've got the number. Justin Fields this season has had more games with 250 plus than not when finishing the game. He's as likely to have 250 as he is to 50. Root him in, Justin Fields. It's next.